Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live right now on this day, the 24th of April, 2021. If you care to measure time in such ways or at all, it is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let it go already. So nice to see you all. So, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you, and the hopeful desire that I have for you to recognize that no matter where you are right now, you're exactly where you need to be in order to learn how to choose for yourself, in order to and I see Kelly's written a note. Congratulations to Louisa on retirement. Oh man, Louisa, you should have talked to me first. It's not what it's cracked up to be. I am busier retired than I ever was working. It's unbelievable, and I pray that your experience is not the same. I really do. But good on you. Way to go. That's awesome. Assuming you wanted the world to know, that is. So, yeah, and if not, well, just let it go already, okay? So, that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. And this is a really important subject that I've seen, unfortunately, manifesting time and time again over the last couple of weeks in a lot of ways. And when Rumi talks about the prison that we construct, that prison is, of course, our perceptions. And sorry, I have itchy ears. Something invisible is whispering in either side. I can see where. Oh no, it's not those little figurines. They're up there staring at me from above, and I mean staring at me too. But we visualize these prison walls, and what we don't understand is that the prison walls are literally whatever we've chosen to believe about ourselves. In other words, our story. And I've seen this manifest time and time again, and a lot as of late, the last couple of weeks. It's just about, everyone wants their story to be known, and that they want it. You almost can't stop them. It's like a tide that's going to roll over you, and it's all about this story, and that story is all around the past and all around the justifications that they've taken on based on that past as to why they've chosen to behave in the way they are behaving, and this is all to varying degrees, of course, but this is really what it is. Oh, and now those invisible things are tickling my nose. Get behind me, little red demon. Never works. He's still sitting up there. So what is it about our story? Well, here's the deal, okay? In this mostly unconscious society that we're living in, and it has been manifest for thousands of years to varying degrees in varying places on the planet, but it's developed into this unconscious mess that we are slowly working our way through, and there is progress being made, never doubt that at all. We've got this idea that you are the roles, you are what happened to you. So if you get caught stealing a chocolate bar, you're a thief. And you're not a thief for the length of time it took you to even eat that chocolate bar, or feel sorry about it, or do penance for it, or whatever else. You are a thief for a very long time. And if you're an adult and you go to jail for being a thief, well, you're never going to escape that label of thief. It'll follow you around, despite the fact that you have paid your debts to society. This is an example of our story, where we failed to see that, well, no, the person isn't a thief. They may have chosen to steal this in this moment, but that does not make them a thief. It makes them someone who made a bad decision. Or, more correctly, a decision with consequences that don't appear to be valuable. But indeed, they could be valuable. And if we began to see people more in that light, we would be able to treat people in a whole different manner. And this doesn't matter whether it's the prisoner or the prisons and the prisoners that so many of us have allowed ourselves to become through our story. You know, I've got a story too. I mean, my dad sexually abused me before the age of 5 years old, and it lasted at least a couple of years. You know, I've been shot, I've been killed, I've been dead twice. I've experienced heartbreak, I've had limbs broken, I've tried to kill myself, blah, 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 blah. That's the play. That's the illusion. That's the storybook on the shelf. None of that has anything to do with what I am. I can still examine my past and pull on certain elements in it, but it is nothing more than a filing cabinet to which I would go to. If it were physical, it would be that. It'd be a filing cabinet, and then there'd be a big file that says the so-called past of this entity as remembered by this egoic form in all its variations that existed during it. And I would see there essentially my memories. And I can scoot back through the files and I can pick something up and say, okay, yeah, you know what, my father had abused me. What did I end up taking out of that? Right, that I'd actually chose that. I had chose that beginning to my life. I had known about it. I'd been aware it was going to happen. But it's just a filing cabinet. And that's what you need to do with your story, is you need to stick it in the damn filing cabinet. Because your story is your past. And a lot of people say, well, your story can be empowering to you. To a degree, perhaps that is true. I'm a little doubtful myself. What I find empowering is simply recognizing that I've already been through a whole ton of what people would call crap, and I can't look back at it and see it as crap anymore. Why? Because I've let it go. It's just a story either way. The problem is most people, they buy into their story 100% as if the story was reality. No, I remember it this way. I'm pretty damn sure this is exactly what happened. You know, this is all the things that I've done. These are all the things that I've suffered. These are all the people who've wronged me. These are all the situations I let myself be in. These are all the times I blame myself for what? Really? That forms the walls, because your story is recorded through your perceptual being. It's recorded through your egoic perceptions. And chances are, because most people's are, those perceptions are skewed. Right? That post I made, every time you add something to your story, you drop another blob of paint in the bucket of clear water that is you and your consciousness, and you color it, and then you begin to see everything through that color or through that perceptual interpretation of what you would call your story. It's not your story. It's part of God's story. It's part of creation. It's a minuscule blurb in the giant book of life that began before time and will still be going after time. But it's not your story, and if you cling to it, if you hold on to it as that, you have locked yourself into walls, locked yourself into an invisible prison, and you're still allowing that story, even though the events are long gone, even though the situations are long changed, even though a lot of times the people are, you haven't even heard or seen of them in a long time. Clinging to that story will keep dragging this immense load behind you. It's like putting on a backpack that weighs 110 pounds to go on a 2-hour day hike. You've overloaded yourself. You're carrying too much, and it weighs down your entire being. This is what is meant in the Bible and other spiritual texts when it talks about the moment of now, being born again in every moment. Every moment is an opportunity to be born again afresh. Every moment is an opportunity to throw out that water and have a clear bucket again. And all you need to do is let go of that idea of your past. Now, people say to me, well, I can't even conceptualize how to do that. How do I let go of my past? A lot of times it can help to reconcile yourself to your past, to be willing to see it in your new light of consciousness that you perceive things today. Go through that filing cabinet, not to get all teary-eyed or upset or emotional or anything else, but just to go through it and say, you know that experience I thought was so bad? Oh, actually, that experience that I really hated and cried and wailed and gnashed my teeth over led me to this person who led me to that. And when you begin to do that, you're going to see this beautiful interconnected web that, aside from how you chose to perceive and therefore feel about the experience, all of those experiences have benefited you in ways a lot of times that you haven't even expected. So you can see that in the filing cabinet, and then you can let it go, because you're not here to live looking backwards. You're not here to pull that weight and chain along of your past life with you. You're here to take all that experience and then choose to express yourself anew. To go ahead and reimagine yourself to be whatever it is you choose to be, and then pursue that to your heart's content. A lot of the issues surrounding anxiety, a lot of the issues surrounding, there was an article the other day or something that Kelly had read to me, and it was involving, experiencing stress at work. And my answer to that is if you're experiencing stress at work, you either have not come to terms with life yet when it comes to that job, or it's time to switch jobs. No matter what it is, you have to be willing to put your love for yourself first. And yourself today is a totally new self. It's not the self that had that experience when I, let's say, was 5 years old. That's not the same self anymore. it's just a recorded memory. It's a recorded experience, and that experience isn't good or bad. It just is. And my judgment, which went from it's bad to I'm ambivalent about it to it's good, was a journey. And there's no place you're supposed to be in the journey, because wherever you are right now is exactly where you need to be. But it is time to let go of the story. Now, here's the big deal with that. Letting go of the story is a leap into a dark abyss. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to mess around and try and make it sound like it's some beautiful floating through the cosmos with shiny lights and little galaxies floating by and angelic music. It's not. It is a heart-wrenching leap off of the Temple of Doom. God, I love that word, doom. Because here's the deal. Your egoic sense of self grabs onto every single experience and uses that to wrap itself, like putting layers of bandage wrap to make a mummy. Right? That's literally what's happening. Is every experience is a new bandage, a new piece of the mummy that your ego is making, the cloak of you that gets in the way of you. The you that came here, that's still there, that won't fight, won't argue, won't comment, just allows and observes with love and understanding. That's you. Everything else on top of that are those false bandages of those experiences and our judgment on those experiences, and they cloak us until there's literally a mummified appearance of a being there. But what's only there is the cloak. And letting go of that cloak means not knowing who you are. That's why it's so hard to drop your past. That's why it's so hard to let go of the story. Because egoically, a big piece of you is going to appear to be lost. You've got to take that leap into that black abyss of doom. I could say that word all day. Doom, 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 doom. I'm going to do a song on doom, just for fun. You know, I mean, we're all doomed here anyways, right? I mean, you're born, you're destined to die, you're doomed. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you can either look at life through the eyes of, I'm afraid to take a step out the door, or you can look at life in terms of every day is a gift. Every moment is a new day. Every moment is a new you. You don't have to bring any of it with you. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to learn and grow. You can't avoid that. Every experience, every interaction, all of this play, all of these actors and actresses on the stage, you are learning and growing in consciousness. You are changing. You are shifting. Whether you consciously work at it or not. Whether you believe it or not, it's happened to you. The you that you were is not the you are now, and the you are now will not be the you are later. And that later can be in the very next moment. Let go of any concept that anything that anyone's done to you is a product of you. It's not. It's a product of them, and you don't have to incorporate it into your being. You don't have to hold on to it whatsoever. It diminishes you in no way. As a matter of fact, it is part of the strength of who you are, that you are here today listening to this and have made it through those events. But it's never who you are. It's just a story in a book that was written before you were born. And it's a little bit interactive. You're allowed to skip to certain pages. You remember those books? I thought they were a lot of fun, although I used to cheat with them a lot of times too. And that ruined it, of course. But literally, that's what your life is. The book of your life is already written. You made this path. You laid out this existence. You laid out the circumstances. And if you can really take that to heart, you will understand that it was just to show you how powerful you are, how capable you are, and how easy this can be for you. And it just begins with dropping your perceptions about anything that's ever happened to you. Now, it doesn't mean you go ahead and insert yourself back into a bad relationship. As a matter of fact, it means that you would never dream of doing that because you remember another you that already had that experience, and thank you very much, I don't want it anymore. Those things you've experienced are no different than a little itty-bitty baby as far as your consciousness goes, as far as my consciousness goes, compared to that universal consciousness. We're barely able to play with the little plastic parts on our soother. All of this existence is part of that play. We're like 7.5 billion itty-bitty little destructive babies playing with, breaking, making, doing whatever it is we want to do. And our loving creator, our loving parent, says, as you wish, go ahead. You can't be harmed. Have those experiences. Grow. Learn from those experiences, because that's what life is. It's an evolution upwards, and you can't fight it. Someone asked me, I was talking to a group member today, and they said, is it possible to devolve into an animal, as a lot of Buddhists believe? And I said, actually, it's not. Life never goes backwards. It may in time appear to go backwards, but that's only an environmental correction, usually to save an aspect of itself. But life is always moving forwards. Your life, your vision, your focus is not behind you. It's right here, right now, looking outwards towards a new approaching horizon. And the gift of creation is, in the moment you choose to let go, the moment you choose to allow yourself to fall into that dark abyss of not knowing who you are, the excitement begins. The true journey, which is on the edge of life, begins. And you, faster and faster, will begin to open yourself to the realization that you can have an experience and take and incorporate what you will, but you don't have to own any of it at any time. That's it. That's all I have tonight. Let go of that story. Let it become nothing more than a novel that you approach from a time on a shelf. And if it sits there dusty and forgotten, that's because that's where it's supposed to be. Much love, namaste. Have a beautiful Saturday night. Pray for rain if you live around here, and we'll talk again very soon. Doom!